But I just wonder, I mean, have you called the French Foreign Minister, for instance?
No, but we're in the process of arranging for me to go to France and to Germany.
Do you know who he is?
Don't start pub quizzing me, Dermot.
Well,
don't start pub quizzing me.
He's the French Foreign Minister. Do you know his name?
No, and I'm not going to start answering your questions on this.
Well, it was just we had that one you were Shadow Defence Secretary on DEFCON.
Do you know what really upsets me about your attitude to me is that you do this with me. I don't remember you doing it with anybody else. You know. Have you done it to David Davis? Have you asked these questions? Did Sky journalists have a go at Boris Johnson on this basis?
I've had discussions
How about
with
Liam Fox?
I've had discussions with David Davis and many discussions with Liam Fox.
I mean, honestly, really.
But quite seriously,
can we talk about some serious stuff? Why don't we talk about Syria? How about talking about North Korea? You really want to spend this time pub quizzing me?
I won't then.
What's with you?
Let's talk about North Korea. Let's talk precisely about that. Do you think? Well, the fact that you don't know the French Foreign Minister's name.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, what about the South Korean president then? If we want to talk about North Korea, do you know the name of the South Korean president?
Let me talk about North Korea.
Who's been talking about nuking Pyongyang?
Let me talk about North Korea.
Well, a call from Boris Johnson to the South Korean president, whose name I guess you don't know.
And the important point, which is about our security and world security, is that how we are going to approach North Korea into the future.
All right, but how would we
approach? And if you want me to go with you to a pub tonight, and we can do a pub quiz tonight, let's do it.
I'm not the Shadow Foreign Secretary.
You know, honestly.
I'm not the Shadow Foreign Secretary. You know, I mean, we're talking about perhaps a global conflict here, and one nation
and the important thing is
one nation threatening nuclear strikes on the other.
Yes.
Thought you might have been rather.
And I can tell you that I'm extremely interested in this, and I will talk about.
President is.
I will. I'm not getting drawn by you into this nonsense. I'm quite prepared to talk politics with you and to talk about the principles and the threats to the country.
But just for future reference, Park Hun-hee. It is a she. But we will move on. We
must always make sure that we are prepared to confront and stamp out whenever it raises its ugly head. And whether that's racism, whether that's anti-Semitism or sexism, you know, I think that we absolutely must call it for what it is.
But it's interesting you're saying there is more to be done within the Labour Party.
There is always more to be done. There is always more to be done. And do you know what? There's certainly a lot more to be done by the Tories. And I certainly think that sometimes when it comes to sexism, some Sky presenters need to look at themselves too. I really do. It really upsets me that every time I come on here, you do another pub quiz with me, because you do not do it with anybody else, and I do think that it's patronising.
Let me address it, Emily Thornberry. It's not, because you are the Shadow Foreign Secretary.
Yeah, right.
And this was about the French Foreign Minister, Jean-Marc Ayrault, who Boris Johnson has met now.
Let's take this offline, because I've got a lot to say to you, and I don't think a lot of it ought to be broadcast.
Emily Thornberry, for the time being, thank you very much indeed, and more than keen to have that discussion on air if you like.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's a question way back when I can't even remember when Mr. Johnson, Alan Johnson, was Shadow Chancellor. We had discussions about the rate of national insurance, which he didn't know, and he should have known, I would have suspected, as Shadow Chancellor. It's Alan Johnson. I'll just leave it there with you. Emily Thornberry, thank you very much.
I'm sure you ought to get the last word, of course.
And you're watching Murnaghan on Sky News.